This episode of the podcast is brought to you by LeafWell. Hello, listeners of Cannabinoid Connect. Have you ever thought about getting a medical cannabis card? The process can be intimidating and difficult to navigate, to say the least. That's why I've partnered with LeafWell, the easiest and most affordable way to get a medical card in Texas and in 32 other states in the US. LeafWell seamlessly connects you to a network of doctors that will help you get certified online in minutes. LeafWell is run by data scientists, cannabis specialists, and patient advocates that are passionate about increasing access and education around medical cannabis use. LeafWell's patient support team is also there to support you throughout your entire journey using medical cannabis. As I mentioned, I've partnered with LeafWell to provide all my listeners with a discount to become certified for medical cannabis. Simply go to their website at leafwell.com and use the promo code CCTX to receive $15 off the price of getting a medical card. Again, that's leafwell.com. Use the promo code CCTX to receive $15 off the price of getting a medical cannabis card. LeafWell only charges if you get approved. So what do you have to lose? Visit leafwell.com today. Use the promo code CCTX to get certified for medical cannabis, risk-free. Hello, Angela. How are you?
I'm great, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well. I should have said how you doing on this cold and rainy night in San Francisco, as you mentioned before we started recording.
Oh my goodness, I'm just trying to stay warm. Yeah, it's really coming down. The rain is, and it's very windy, and so I'm just happy that I have a moment to take with you, and inside out of the rain, and so let's go for it.
I love it. No. And you know what? I'm really excited to be talking to you tonight. And just the great work that you're doing, working for success centers in San Francisco. And, I'd like to just start with where this passion came from and particularly how and why and how you're passionate about, bolstering the cannabis community through centers, which of course, works to empower marginalized community members.
Okay, well, I think the passion comes from actually being a person who was healed through the use of cannabis, if I may say that,
Yeah, of course. Tell us the
uh,
story. I'm interested. How did that go down?
well, as a young mom, I had three daughters, and I used to suffer from migraine headaches. And I kept going back and forth to the doctor. And one day she pulls me aside and she's whispering to me, Angela, I've tried you on everything. Off the record, go buy you a dime bag of weed.
Wow. I mean, that's so bold for her to do that, but so caring at the same time, because she probably anecdotally saw, how the efficacy of cannabis and how it worked for maybe some other patients informally, right?
Absolutely. So I did that. I went and bought a dime bag of weed from my corner salesman. and
Probably not the
you
best process, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? When it's not legal.
exactly. When you need to get medicine, your medicine, you will, do what you need to do to get it. And yeah, so I got the medicine. I rolled it up and I took a puff and held it in for a little bit. On the sign when I was getting the signs of the migraine, blew it out, and I noticed that the symptoms went away.
Wow.
And that has been my regimen for over 30 years. I haven't had a migraine. I didn't have to hide in the dark with bandanas over my eyes and, cringing and away from my kids. And so I'm like, this is some incredible stuff here.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, and you've carried it on, I mean, since, right? Because why stop doing something that's working and improving your everyday lifestyle, right? So
Exactly.
and it must be a lot easier now to access cannabis being in California, where obviously it's a legal state with really high quality flower that's being grown, right? So
Oh yeah, we have some of the best cannabis in the world here in, in Northern California. You've got the Emerald Triangle up there where there are great growers. You got Lake County, people growing in Santa Cruz. Yeah, so yeah, we've got it, and yeah, it's and it's plentiful. Uh,
I can see the
yeah,
glow coming from you, and I'm jealous over here in Texas, prohibitive Texas, where
I
we're working
know.
with Delta 8. But hey, hopefully one day things will
Oh,
change.
Delta 8.
You know,
I have a Delta 8 story.
I want to hear it. What's that?
I, I always talk about CBD when I'm doing workshops with folks, and I had never knew about the Delta 8. So I had this friend who was trying to market Delta 8. They had an extraction, and he was saying that he wanted to market it to soccer moms. And I'm thinking, CBD to soccer moms? I said, that sounds like an elderly product, right? And so he gave me some caramels that had the Delta 8 in them, the samples of what he was going to be having people try. And so it tasted good. I didn't taste anything, no back flavor. The caramel was excellent. So I ate about 8 pieces. Let
Whoa.
me tell you.
Uh-oh. You were in for a wild ride.
Oh my goodness. I was stuck. I went to a friend of mine, and we were sitting there, and everybody kept saying, "What's wrong with Miss Ann?" So
Were you on Mars or
the
what? In the corner? You were
oh
just
my
in outer
goodness.
space?
It was just, I tell you, I could not talk. I was sitting there just like really stuck, you
Right.
know, and I just couldn't say anything, but they were saying like, what's wrong? And in my mind, I wanted to tell them, dial 911, dial 911.
Get an ambulance here right now. So was that Delta 8 or was
Right.
it CBD caramels?
It was Delta. It was
Oh, it was
actually
Delta
Delta
8.
8, and
Yeah.
it was Delta 8. And so I caught myself because sometimes when you overindulge, and I think everyone has been there with edibles. That's why
Sure. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't do edibles. So I just told myself, you know what, this is plant medicine. Your body's going to take from it what it needs. Calm down, and I just went to sleep. I was stuck there. I couldn't move. So I closed my eyes, and my friend's little furry friend, like your furry friend in the background, jumped on my lap, and we went to sleep.
See, but that's a vet move, right? Because like with cannabis and even psychedelics, when you're in it, the sometimes the experience can be very extreme. So if you try to fight it, like especially within psychedelics, you'll have a bad trip, is what they say, quote unquote say. And
Mhm.
so if you just if you just allow it and you just let it your body flow with it. I mean, like you said, we have receptors that bind to these cannabinoids. So you know, heart palpitations can be normal, given the certain strain and how it affects a certain person. But dealing with those side effects is a whole different story, right? And that's where,
Yeah, and I've never tried the psychedelics, mushrooms or psilocybins or any of those kind of things. But for me, because I'm a very lightweight person, I just thought it was CBD, non-psychoactive. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And so
right.
I was just
Yeah.
eating CBD candy. You know what I mean?
Little did you know,
Right,
it wasn't. Yeah.
right.
Well, you survived it, and like you said, hey, you're not alone in those stories because we all have them. In fact, those who have listened to this podcast or haven't heard the episode yet, go check out Jason Vygotsky's story because he's running out of a plane with his edible story. It's pretty wild. Well,
Wow.
but yeah, I won't get into all that. We're talking about you, Angela. So let's get back to that. And
Okay.
so tell me about your current focus, which is to develop sustainable career and entrepreneurial paths to these less accessible communities, right? That are impacted by inequality, war on drugs, all the above. Like, what's your part there? And then we'll talk specifically more about what you're doing in cannabis.
Okay, so my part there is, so I am the Equity for Industry Program Manager at Success Centers in San Francisco. We're located in what they call the Fillmore District. And so what I do there is basically get people hired into the cannabis industry, and that's how I started out. We have a hiring event once a month. It's a virtual hiring event where it's called the Virtual Budding Industry Job Shop.
Nice.
Uh, and so what it is they will have a bunch of jobs that are in the local area, the employers, and so we'll have employers come in. He's barking back there. Uh, he'll have we'll have employers come in, and they'll talk about the open positions that they have, and the theme of it is what it's like to work a day at your company. So they're able to talk to job seekers about, what kind of characteristics of the people that they're looking for. They'll talk about pay rates, what, the job descriptions themselves. And what this does is it opens a dialogue for the job seekers to ask them questions about what it's like to work there, and just different questions, any questions that they may have. And it's an opportunity for a job seeker to interview a company that they could potentially be working. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's a candidates market these days, right? So it's super important to not only have the tools and the know-how to ask those important questions, but be comfortable doing it. And it's
absolutely.
it's great that Success Centers is providing that type of platform, that opportunity.
Yeah, and so after that event, folks will select, which companies they want to go for, which positions, and we'll forward off resumes to them. And usually these companies will give interviews to the folks that we send over. We've been doing this work for about 5 years, so people respect, my judgment, and it's a good feeling to be respected that way. And also
Absolutely.
that the other thing that we do is the day after, for folks that are coming in new that don't have resumes, we have what's called a resume and mock interview clinic to get people prepared for those interviews that are coming up. And with that, we also do the LinkedIn profile building. We have
Super
Sammy Ma.
important. LinkedIn is
Yes,
so important.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we have Sammy Ma from Columbia Care who does our LinkedIn profile. One of the things that's really awesome about our program and being in San Francisco, they have a 35% hiring rate for local folks. And then also with the Office of Cannabis, thanks to Marissa Rodriguez and Jeremy Swartz, who's now over that. He's deputy director now. But they have a 35% hiring rate. They want local folks. They have a fair chance ordinance. Um, let's see what else. So we're trying to get folks ready for the marginalized community, and part of compliance for folks keeping their licensing, they have to do community outreach. So our events are part of their community outreach when they come on and they're talking, and we're all laughing and having a great time because we're talking cannabis, right? Which is
Right.
kind of unusual. And so it's a lot of fun. And then the next day we have, like I said, the mock interview, resume building clinic, and the LinkedIn building. And then we also use industry professionals there again. We have Peter Maxwell from the Apothecarium, who's a regular HR person that comes in, and they will help critique these resumes. Liz Gale does the same thing. She's from Liz Gale Consulting, and they do these wonderful jobs. And when they come out of the resume clinic, they have a resume. They practice with their interviewing, and so when they go, they land these positions. I'm like, oh yes, it's working.
Well, it sounds like such a comprehensive program that you have, right? Because there are so many different facets that go along with the hiring process. It's not just like, hey, I see a job that's a good fit for me and they like me. Let me apply. I mean, you have to have your resume, already built. You should have a good LinkedIn profile, like you mentioned, so that people can find you and see what you've done for past experience or who's endorsed you. I mean, all that stuff is important, and success centers is really focused on all that. And I mean, from your perspective, Angela, like in your mind, why is it important to protect the equity community? And specifically, talking within cannabis because of how many, you know, people of color have been disenfranchised by the plant over the past 100 years.
Yeah, because why is it important is because I'm one of those community members. And how do you work with something that you don't understand? I'm not a verified equity in San Francisco, and that's part of the process here for folks that are trying to start businesses. So I work with uh, folks that have will go to through the Office of Cannabis to get their verification. They have to qualify for 3 of 6 criteria, and then they get their verification. And so my passion comes from finding industry professionals to mentor, to come in and do workshops, to help folks um, achieve their goals and dreams. Um, Through our program, we have lots of successes. We have Sean Richards, the first Black male to open a dispensary, partnered with Burners on Hate in San Francisco. We have Cindy De La Vega, who is the first Latina female to open a dispensary partnership with Stizzy in Union Square. We have Kareem Mayfield, a Black male who it was a retired boxer who came through our program. Reese Benton, the first Black female sole proprietor in the nation, probably because no one's been able to do what she's done. So we are very pleased and excited about our successes and the success stories that we're having with our participants.
What are you seeing in terms of like how this is being received within the cannabis industry? I mean, particularly in California. I mean, is there support there? And if not, or if so, I mean, what can the cannabis community do to really support Success Center's efforts?
Well, there's several things that we can do. So our the cannabis department, which is what I had there, um, we are functioning for the last 4 years on general funds, right? Um, so all the work that we've been doing has been done by private donation. And so to keep our doors open, to keep me alive and well, Success Centers uh, is, dependent upon some of those donations to keep this program going. So recently, last year, we finally got a grant from it was the Dream Keepers Initiative, which was a mayoral initiative when George Floyd was murdered, and folks started protesting all over, saying Black Lives Matter and defund the police. Those were some of the things. So she heard that, and so what she did was she reallocated some police funding to the Dream Keepers Initiative, and we won a grant. A 2-year grant to educate folks. And what we did was we created a dispensary operations training. It's probably the first in this nation for a nonprofit to do. We are educating folks on cannabis policy, legalization policy. We're working with another professional from the parent company who does that. And I want to mention people because without the folks that are working and volunteering their time to help with these missives or missions, we couldn't get the work done. So Hirsch Jane comes in and does our cannabis legalization policy history, the history of cannabis legalization. We have a couple of folks that are cannabis alumni, Oxfordham alumni that come in and do our cannabis in the body, products and uses. We have um, a young, beautiful, spirited woman from the parent company, Jasmine Hall, who does our dispensary operations training, front of house, back of house, She covers everything from the rooter to the tutor, and I'm not going to tell you everything she covers, but a dispensary when she's finished. And then we are working with Meadow, Wally Wong from Meadow, who does the POS system training and teaches them about how it works with metric, the track and trace system. And
Hmm.
so I don't know if you even understand what I'm talking about
I
because you guys
do.
aren't legal there,
Yeah.
but so when they graduate from our program, we also have incorporated a computer literacy component where they're taking Microsoft learning modules. And so at the end of the graduation from the 5 weeks with us, they're receiving $500 a stipend. And then they also come home with a laptop because they've done the training and they are understanding. They know a POS system. They have created in a sandbox environment in the POS system. And so now they are cross trainable once they go out for their externships. They can go front of house work or back of house work. And so they're not just stuck being just a bud tender because that's what everyone thinks that this is all about. There's more
Right.
positions than just a bud tender in a dispensary.
Yeah, and there's so much opportunity, especially as the industry continues to evolve and grow, where there's room for growth for like your own individual career path, right? Like you can move
Yes.
up the ladder. You start as a bud tender or a trimmer. You move to the front of the
Or
office, or
you
you're
may not be a
manager of the
front of house
district.
person. But
Yeah,
you may not even be a front of house person. You may be a back of house. So they're learning inventory, how to
there you
bring
go.
in
Yeah.
so it's a very well rounded, well thought out um um program. And so like when the dispensary operators, when they bring them on for their externships, man, you should hear what they're saying. Man, I wish we would have done this. We need more of this. Everybody needs to go through your program. Because they understand, and what they're learning also is that time is money. And so when you go in, because the cannabis industry is really kind of volatile right now,
Right.
people are, the money's not being made like they thought they were going to make. Folks are walking off and leaving their farm crops, and it's really bad. The taxes are high. So you really want to become a value or a steward of the industry, is what I tell them. You want to be a steward of the industry so that you can learn, you can start wherever they're going to put you and move up and keep going. And because they all have a certain passion when it comes to this industry, yeah, it works out. It works out really well. I'm proud of it
Isn't it
and
beautiful?
them.
It's a beautiful thing to see in real time how all of these different talented professional people from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds or even industries prior that they served in just are flocking and kind of congregating within the cannabis industry to build it literally from scratch and with little to really no help from the federal government. I mean, state and local governments are starting to participate more. We're seeing 19 states that are at adult use at this point. I think it's 36 states for medicinal use. um
Hmm.
so at the state level, there's support there, and then of course there's organizations like success centers who are really rolling up the sleeves and teaching these operators really the basics and then the best practices to go about executing. And I keep using the word comprehensive because it sounds so end to end. I mean, you started first talking about the resume building, the interview process, but now you're talking about dispensary operations and POS systems and all that. It's pretty impressive. So what's the participation been like? I mean, how many do you guys do you call them graduates from the program? And I mean, if
Yeah,
so,
so
how
they
many?
graduate. We have a we have a graduation. I will say that the first we started out last year. We had two cohorts, and then I had a medical um, emer uh, emergency or situation where it took me off work, and so I
Oh
came
no.
back in May. I left in February. I came back in May, but just getting back to the retention rates. Everyone's still working. That graduated through our program. I think last year we had close to 30 folks that went in, and they're still thriving and doing well.
Nice.
I'm getting a report. from the companies that they're still doing very well. We just graduated in September, another class, and they're off and they're doing well. And so we're, looking to get our next launch for our next cohort will be December. The applications open up. And so we're looking to at least have about 20 people go through this process and be placed come after graduation, the first March 1st. So yeah,
Wow.
it's really the work I do is so rewarding. Um, Before we even got the dispensary operations grant, which was really great, I was up in Emerald Triangle, or I was in Santa Rosa at the Emerald Cup is what it was called, and I'm walking through there. I'm by myself. I do a lot of going to events, and I hear someone say, "Miss Angela," and I'm like, who knows me out here, right? And
Who
this
was it?
kid screams at me, "You got me my job."
Oh,
And
wow. How
I
rewarding
just,
is that?
man, I'm walking and crying, right? Just,
Yeah.
yeah. So um,
That's what makes it all worth it, right? I mean,
it's
that's
definitely
where
worth it. We're people are able to reinvent themselves. They're able to be a part of an industry that's working real hard to shut them out. I'm trying to make sure that they're excuse my words.
you can say
um
whatever you want.
no, I'm just really wanting folks to be able to be a part of this. We've been over incarcerated. The war on drugs has devastated our communities. And so I'm trying to make sure that we're a part, not just working for these companies, but ownership.
Running
Ownership
them.
is so
Yeah.
important. And so, yeah, I tear up. One of the other things I was going to tell you, and 2019, the budtender of the year. Uh, he was one of my clients. He won the Budtender of the Year award. So
What was
he
his
calls me
name?
and says, "Miss Angela," his name is William Brown. And he says,
Nice.
"Miss Angela, I won. And he had to go to Vegas and there was this big to do. And so he called me and said, "Can you meet me? I'm in Oakland." So I drove across the bridge. We're right in front of Oakland University. I jump out the car. He has a trophy, and we're both jumping up and down in the middle of the street. I felt like I won that trophy. You know what I'm saying? So, just working with people and listening to folks and caring about the communities that have been hardest hit by the war on drugs. And when you see folks getting closer to where they want to be, it's a great feeling.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, and the ultimate story would be the people that were most affected by the war on drugs, like you said, are the ones that really have a voice and play a major part in the industry, whether it be ownership or, senior level, executive level positions. I mean, those opportunities should be available to those people. I mean, this industry was built on the backs of the legacy operators and the people involved within the war on drugs. And so it's beautiful what success centers do. I keep saying it. I love, what you guys are doing. And I also wanted to ask you, like, if you had, a magic wand and you could just flick it and in your perfect world, like, where would success centers be, and like what would be happening in terms of what the organization should be focused on?
Well, I would say as long as the as long as the cannabis industry can survive what it's going through right now, I would love to create more programming for folks, expand our vision. I mean, this little old lady right here. We got some ideas.
We're gonna say older, Miss Angela. Older, not old. You're
Well,
older.
I'll be 60 my birthday, and I'm
That's
happy to
not
be
old.
able to. Well, I'm not a kid,
Right, you're not a
and I
kid.
and I definitely have more years behind me than I do in front of me, and I know that. And so, what's important to me is leaving behind a legacy that one day maybe my great great grandchild will be walking down the street and someone will say, you favor someone that I used to know, Miss Angela. She gave me my first job, and I'm a career now for have my own business in cannabis because of her, or because of the resources that she gave to me and believed in me and what I wanted to do. That's the legacy I want to leave behind. People are so tripped out over trying to make so much money, but they're forgetting who and what this plant is, what the essence is of this plant. It's a healer, and it's not all about making money.
Right.
And so it's about making sure that people are connecting and yeah. So
No, I'm right there with you. It's a communal plant. It should be used with intention and like you said,
respect, the
respect.
respect. Oh yes, this woman, because that's what she is. She's a female. Females are nurturers. You know what I mean? And she's healing, and she's given up all of herself for everyone to do the right things. And I want people to know that they need to be doing the right things by
Mhm.
her. And so yeah.
Well, I tell you, you're well on your way with your legacy. I mean, you're already seeing it pay dividends in real time because you've got, the young men, like you said, who won the Emerald Cup, and then some of the others who said, you
Bartender of
got
the
me a
year,
job. Yeah,
yeah.
bud tender of the
Yeah,
year.
and I
I
got folks
mean,
that have gotten their businesses open. And the Equity for Industry program, we have monthly workshops where we're bringing in industry professionals. Hirsch Jane is coming back. Reese Benton is coming in to do workshops, because even though you've gotten your space open, it doesn't stop. You're always going to need help. I get phone calls about all different kinds of things. Miss Angela, I need this, or do you know anyone that has that? And so I go into my little, yes, I do. What can I, so I'm still a resource. I'm finding, and not just me being the resource, but having people that want to work with me to work to help other people. In-kind donations is just the way, this is the way it used to be with cannabis. I mean, you pass it around the room, right? And
right.
everybody got a little bit of it. And so this is what I'm saying. We have to have that very same mindset with it today. Everybody deserves a piece of this.
I love that analogy. I might take that. I'll of course quote you on that, but that's beautiful. Like you're right. It's a communal thing, but like when we pass it with a group, I mean that's the same way we should kind of see this industry and kind of pass it and provide the opportunities for people of all backgrounds to.
Right. It's no fun to indulge alone.
No, it's not, right? It just becomes monopolized like everything else.
Right. Right.
Hey, let me ask you this to wrap up. So,
Okay.
what advice do you have for, those outside of the Bay Area who want to assist in the equity community?
Well, you can always find me on our website. I have people right now that come from Washington State. I have Kevin Holler, who comes in and works with us on the 280 tax codes. Helping people to understand how that all works. This is
Hmm.
state legal, but not federally legal. So you have to know those
You
taxes. And
can't write off the deduction.
absolutely. I have Liz Gill. I think Liz is up in Portland, maybe. She comes in to help with because we do a lot of virtual workshops. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have a talent or an expertise that you want to share and work with us to mentor, to teach folks about a certain, I got Brad Bogus that comes in from Colorado to do workshops on understanding the soul of your brand. So you're with Zoom, everybody's reachable. You can always reach out to me and help out on this journey that we're all on, to ensure that this community is not left behind, to ensure that people are learning new strategies. Just whatever you got, I need it. So call me, email me.
You heard it from Miss Angela firsthand, and that's a great segue because I'll close with, where can people find your website, your email? Like, how can they get in touch to start collaborating and start contributing to the great work that Success Centers is already doing in the San Francisco area.
So let me just say this: Success Centers is does a lot more for the community than just cannabis. So visit our website at www.successcenters.org. That's successcenters.org, or give us a call at our main number 415-549-7000, and you can find me or any of our other programs. But visit our workshop. You can see website. You can see the work that we're doing.
Love it. And I'll be sure to put the links for your social media channels in the description box for YouTube as well, so they can start
Thank
following
you
you there.
so much.
Of
Reach
course.
out to us. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
This was so much fun, Angela. I really appreciate you coming on. As Success Centers grows and you get more donations, hopefully after this episode and even other things, let's have you back on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. And thank you all for listening. Bye.